If you are new to Palia, let me tell you it is a fabulous game, but it has a steep learning curve. One of the things that's hard for new players is cooking, so I'm going to make this video to, I hope, help you out. One of the first things you receive in the game is this campfire. When you stand next to it, it has a grill on it. Now, I am playing on the Nintendo Switch, so I don't know if this is different on other platforms. But I will press the A button on my controller. It will bring up this menu that has all of the recipes that I have gathered so far. Now, you're not going to have all of these recipes. You actually find them while playing the game. So it's talking to different villagers. You may find them in rummage piles. You may find them while fishing. You find them during quests. Throughout the gameplay, you will build up how many recipes you have. So if you don't have the ones that I have, don't worry about it. You'll also notice that most of them say ready to craft, except for this one, and that is because I am missing rice. I have 1 rice and I need 2. I would have to rectify that by either growing more rice, or I would have to request it from another player. Alright, this is also where you make Fisherman's Brew. I see this question a lot. This video isn't going to go into how to get the Fisherman's Brew, but this is where you have to actually cook it. You are going to need the emerald carpet moss and the crystal lake lotus. Note that it does say X for use quality ingredients, but there are no quality or starred ingredients of either the crystal lake lotus or the emerald carpet moss, so it really does not apply. So to make it, I'm going to press the A button. It's going to show you a timer. When the timer gets to 0, it's going to pop up as completed. You can see the check mark there. You can press A to collect it. So that is the easiest place to cook in the game. Later on, as part of a quest, you're going to get this grill. This is also termed campfire. If you press A, see it says campfire, you're going to see all of the same recipes. In this case, I'm going to grill some meat. Here you can see I have a lot of meat, but I'm going to press X to use quality ingredients or star ingredients. That brings it down to 142. So if you're low on starred quality meat, definitely stick with the use general ingredients. Then I'm going to click A to make it. So this is just a little bit different. It's going to close a lid. You're still going to have that timer that goes to 0. Alright, you can see this one is star quality. Just because you use star quality ingredients does not guarantee you a star quality result. So I'm going to tap A to collect. And then I'm going to show you why star quality is important to do at least once. I'm going to go into the player menu. You can see this accomplishments here. As a new player, you may not even know this exists. It took me a while to figure this out. I'm going to go into accomplishments. You can see that I've completed a lot of them. There's some I haven't completed. But if we scroll down, as you can see, there's a lot of them. You see Palia Chef Cooking by the Book. You go into that one. This is all of the recipes that I have cooked in the game so far. The ones that are black or shadows mean I have not cooked them yet. Maybe I haven't found the recipe, or maybe I just haven't cooked it. Alright, but the next one down is Master Palia Chef, and that one is star quality. It's the exact same recipes, but you get a star quality result. So the ones that are black or shadows, I have not gotten star quality results while cooking these. Alright, so now an introduction to the kitchen. There's a lot to go over here, so I'm going to break it up into parts. First of all, you have a stove, you have an oven, you have a prep table, and you have a mixing table. The mixing table has the cloth on it. When you set up a kitchen, you want to have at least 2 of each of those. So 2 stoves, 2 ovens, 2 prep stations, 2 mixing stations. Now the reason you need 2 is if you happen to be cooking something on the stove, notice there's only 1 burner here. If you need another burner, you now have to go to a second stove. For example, if you're making something that requires rice, you have the pot boiling on the stove, you need to run over here, quickly make rice, collect it, and then run back here and put it into your item. So the same thing is going to happen when you cook. You're going to get images on whatever item you need to use, and you need to go to that particular place to do whatever is shown in the figure. And you will see that once I start cooking. All right, another thing here is what you can cook at each. So I'm going to click the A button here. You can see all of these recipes pop up. I've managed to collect all these recipes while playing the game. Again, you're not going to have the same recipes, but that is what I can cook by starting at the stove. If, however, I go to the oven and I click to bake, you are now going to see different recipes. These are the recipes that you start at the oven. If you go to the mixing station, you cannot start recipes from a mixing station. And if you go to the prep table, these are the recipes that I have that start at the prep station. All right, another thing to notice, the mixing station is just for mixing, and I will cover that later. All right, let's start one here, and I'm actually going to fail a recipe intentionally so that you can see what happens. We're going to start by cooking bacon stuffed mushrooms. It's pretty easy to get the recipe in the game. If you look at the picture here, it tells you everything you need to know. The game is giving you 2 minutes and 20 seconds to cook this recipe. If you go over that time, the recipe is ruined. And again, I will show that to you. Then it'll show you that you need the stove and any mushroom, butter, which you get from Zeki's store at the cash register, any meat, tomatoes, and spice sprouts. You will also notice there is a picture above spice sprouts. It's a pan with mushrooms flying out of it with a number 2. That means flipping, and I will go over that. Also at the lower left, it says additional stations. It shows that you're going to need the oven and you're going to need to chop ingredients. You also have there use star quality ingredients. You can see here on my screen it says X to use star quality ingredients. And in this case I actually have to because I only have star quality tomatoes. I suggest when you're playing early in the game that you try to keep non-starred versions of vegetables, because look what happens. I press X to use star quality. It is now using star quality meats and star quality mushrooms. And the mushrooms are fairly hard to get, especially the blue mushrooms. So you probably want to keep the unstarred versions around until you are able to build up a lot of ingredients. All right, I'm going to intentionally fail this recipe. I'm going to hit make. You see there's pictures on the stove, there's a picture at the oven, and there are pictures at the prep table. The prep table is where you go to chop ingredients. Here it says chop tomato, so I'm going to press A to make. And there's going to be a series of blue lines. And when that blue line gets to that really long line there on my cutting board, I want to hit a button on my controller. For Nintendo Switch, it is the ZR button, the lower, the back of the controller, the bottom button, and you're going to chop it with that. All right, I'm going to chop sirloin meat here. And you can see that flip counter on the stove behind me. It is now yellow, now it's red. I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to do anything. It's going to time out, but it is still letting me do things in the recipe. So keep that in mind. That doesn't mean it's ruined. I'm going to add what I've already chopped, and then I still have to chop the spice sprouts. So I'm going to do that as well. And you can intentionally fail here. You can fail and it's not going to reset your status. It'll let you fail multiple times. But if you fail too much, then you're out. You've ruined the recipe. All right, so I'm going to add that ingredient. And then this, I'm going to tell you what it is, but we're going to let it time out so I ruin the recipe. This is to bake the meat. I chop the meat, but this oven has a picture of meat. So that means I have to interact with it. You can see it says bacon, ready to craft. I would put that in the oven, and now I'm just going to wait for it to time out. And that time, I'm going to show you these right here. Whenever you have a kitchen where friends are coming over, it's helpful to have chests here so that they can access their storage. Other players can access their own storage if you have these chests nearby. All right, we're about to fail here. All right, ruined food. We've all done it. I can collect it, and then you can actually give that food to your worms if you have a compost bin. So, I mean, you're wasting it, but the worms are enjoying it. All right, let's cook this for real this time. Bacon stuffed mushrooms. I'm gonna star quality because of my tomatoes. I'm gonna hit A to make. All right, I'm gonna go to the prep station. I'm gonna chop the tomato. And this takes a lot of practice. Again, I'm hitting the button on my controller when that blue line gets to the long line. And everything you cut is going to be a little different. All right, so now it says I need to flip it, so I'm going to tap A to interact it. All right, now this is different. I didn't go over this before. There is that pan with the mushrooms coming out of it. You see that there's a very large circle there. There's another set of circles. There's 2 circles, and then there's the blue circle. You're going to press the button on your controller for the Nintendo Switch. It's that ZR button, the bottom back button on your controller. You're going to press that until the blue dot gets to where the double dots are. So the circle with a dot in between. Oh, I failed. It will let you fail. There we go. Done. All right, now I'm going to add the ingredients that I've cut with the X. You can see that I still have a picture here, and that is for the bacon. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to cook that bacon that I cut up. Now it shows 3 people on it. That shows that somebody's doing it. You can see that every other picture is gone at this point. All right, it's done. I'm going to tap A to collect it. Then you can see I only have 25 seconds left. I'm going to add that ingredient with X, and then I'm going to flip again. You can see that that double circle moves every time I do this. All right, that is done. So you tap A to collect. All right, the next recipe I'm going to show you is in the oven. I'm going to tap A to interact with the oven. And again, you're not going to have all of these recipes because you haven't found them in game yet. I'm going to start with these stuffed cabbage rolls. Now this one you get 3 minutes to make. If you eat it, it gives you 275 focus points. That's that bar up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen when you're playing the game. It requires the oven. It also requires the stove, mixing and chopping. You need Napa cabbage, which if you don't have it, you can buy it at Zeki's store at the cash register. You also need any red meat, any mushrooms, carrots, and the wild green onions, which you find in Kilima. Again, I don't have any vegetables that are not of star quality, so I'm going to press X, and then I'm going to press A to start. All right, now you see a lot of pictures here, a lot of things to do. So I'm going to go to the stove. It wants me to craft or ready to craft blanched cabbage, so I'm going to press A. And in this case, it says tap to interact. and it's going to want me to stir it. So I'm going to press that ZR button on my controller. I'm not going to let it go. And there it is. I stirred it. It's being put in my pocket. So we still have all of these other pictures here. I'm going to go to the prep station. It wants me to cut 4 things. We have the chopped carrots. We have chopped mushrooms. We are going to chop surnuk meat. And the hardest one is chopped green onions. Again, you can fail a couple of times, and it will not reset your status. All right, we got everything chopped. So that says we're done. That says we're done. Now we need to go to the mixing station. It says 0 out of 1. We're going to hit A, and it says ready to craft. So it wants us to stir, so I'm going to hit that ZR button on my controller. I'm going to keep it pressed until it's done. All right, so now that has a hand. Now you go over to the oven. It says we have a minute left, and it says add ingredients with the X. So I'm going to add the ingredients. And there we are. We have starred stuffed cabbage rolls, and I can collect it. So I hope this video helped you, and I want to thank you for watching.